Phuket's Live 89.5, Steve here. And between 1 and 2, we like to bring somebody into the studio on a daily basis to have a little chat. And usually we bring Hayden from RPM into the studio. Just shout hello to prove you're here. Just shout it.
Hello, hello.
He is here.
I'm here, but I'm hiding.
Yeah, you're number 2 today. We don't need you anymore. Can you get the coffees in for us? Okay. So he's here in the studio and he's brought a guest with him who he knows very, very well. And we should be talking with this guest right the way through now until 2 o'clock. Now, I've got to try and get the pronunciation right of his name. Nick. Hello, Nick.
Hello. Yeah, that's amazing.
And your surname is? Gavrilovic.
Very close, very close. Not bad. Probably about as well as I could do. So we'll go along with that.
But it's not an Essex name, is it?
No. Yugoslav, Croatian. Now.
That's right. Beautiful part of Croatia as well, because your family are originally from there, aren't you?
Dubrovnik, my dad.
Yeah, so it's a nice part of the world. Well, Nick actually is a musician with many bands. He does his own stuff and writes his own stuff. You'll notably know him from being with the band Placebo. Great band, one of my favourite bands. Not just saying that because you're sitting there, but I really do like them. And what we thought we'd do with Nick coming into the studio today, because he's been here for a few weeks in this beautiful part of the world, is have a little chat to him about his life. And basically the dark side of his life, taking it through to where he is right now. Now, Nick, let's start at the very beginning. You were sort of brought up in an environment that would be a dream for a lot of people, surely.
I don't know. It depends on people's lives. It was all very musically based as a kid. You know, my dad's in the business. He's drum tech for lots of bands like The Who, Eric Clapton, you know,
really?
Kind of all the big ones sort of thing. So, my uncle was a musician, you know, and so it was always around. So, you know, for someone who wanted to play guitar and do all those sort of things. And my brothers play, and, you know, when we were kids, we had people from Iron Maiden coming around the house, and, you know,
brilliant.
The people in the house with long hair were usually the men back in them days. So, no, you know, it was ideal for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, also, we grew up in a pub for a lot of the time, and
so that's what I'm saying about the combination. It was music and the
music and
temptation of
music and booze.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
You know, it was we're probably the only kids going to school with the smell of cigarettes in their hair. But no, it was a good time.
Yeah. So your dad's a drum technician, your brother's drummer.
I've got a brother who's a drum tech, used to be a drummer, and then I've got another 2 brothers who are also drummers.
So what do you do then?
I'm a guitarist.
So what went wrong?
Well, no, it's what went right. I think, you know, when I was a child, it turned out I was the only one that could read and write. So they just decided to put me on a real musical instrument rather than just sit me down and make me hit things.
Yeah.
So it would have been a waste otherwise.
So you're not, I mean, not just the influences of your family, etc., but you've been brought up in a musical environment. What kind of music were you listening to as a youngster then?
I mean, mainly like stuff like Zeppelin, Free, you know, Thin Lizzy, all that kind of stuff. You know, that was massive. I mean, all of my brothers and my mum, dad are huge like Zeppelin fans and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it was a very rock household kind of thing. You know, so that was our main staple diet. You know, and still now. I mean, a lot of the great rock songs and stuff, I hear them now and just instantly straight back to childhood. And, you know, my family were on Family Fortunes, the TV show, years ago, and we won like a video player. We won like a VCR player. And one of the first families in the area to have one. And we only had 3 videos, and we had Led Zeppelin Song Remains the Same, Thin Lizzy Live and Dangerous, and Bon Jovi New Jersey. And so that was it. That was all we ever watched. You know, I mean, I think that the Song Remains the Same video ended up dying from overuse. I mean, you know, everyone else was watching cartoons and stuff, and not us. We were watching, you know, topless, long-haired men play guitar. Yeah. So I don't know whether that was the right way to bring us up or not, but yeah,
that's the story for another day. Then being on Family Fortunes, I can say. Anyway, it's good to have you in the studio. Now we brought you into the studio because you've been in this beautiful part of the world for a few months now. You've overstayed, basically because you wanted to, but you've come here for a lot of different reasons, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, originally when I came out to Thailand, came to Bangkok to start writing. I was working with an artist there, and we're writing and recording and doing a lot of demos and stuff, and so that was the original time. But towards the, as it got closer to the end of the trip, I kind of decided I didn't really fancy going back. During the stay, I sort of might have got a bit too friendly with some local brands of whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, the drinking sort of got a little bit out of hand. So I just figured if I go home now, I'm just going to end up, you know, straight back into a pub and sit and wait for the next tour to come along. So I figured.
Has this been a problem throughout your life?
I don't know how to discuss it, if it, you know, describe it as a problem, because at the time it was just a good time. That was the thing, you know.
So you know, you probably knew no better, really, from the environment that you
I
brought
mean,
up in.
because it's, you know, I've got a job where you can kind of get by doing it. You know, it's not like I'm driving a bus load of kids or anything. You know, most of the time, if we're on tour, we don't start work until 8 o'clock in the evening, and we're finished by 11 o'clock, and then you're pretty much free to go off and do whatever you want, and as long as you're on stage again the next day. So you know, whether it was a problem or not, I don't really know.
It's interesting you should say that, because a lot of people, obviously, even these days, look at sort of being on the road, etc., as being, must be great. But a lot of it's down to boredom, isn't it?
I mean, that depends how you do it, really. I mean, that's you know, there's lots of people that I tour with that get up early, go out. You know, we're in beautiful different cities every day of the week, all around, you know, across the globe. So, I mean, if you allow yourself to get bored, it's kind of your own fault. You know, there is no reason for you to get bored.
But I'm going to jump in there, because that's where the problems start. I mean, if you fall into a routine where you shouldn't be doing the things that you are doing, then it just rolls into one.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to be up all night having parties every night, then you aren't going to get out and about the next day. You're going to lie in bed. You're going to feel extremely sorry for yourself, because you've just spent a small fortune on a night you can't remember with a load of people you don't know and are never going to see again.
Sounds like night seer for me.
You know, and you know, but it's which you know, there was some great times, but it, you know, when you've been doing it for 10 years, you know, it gets a little bit boring and a little bit old.
And catching up on you.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I'm only 30, but yeah, I look about 60.
You're looking good. Now we're here on Lifestyle. Steve with you through until 3 o'clock this afternoon. In the studio, Nick G, we're going to call him, who's a musician, and he's basically enjoying his little time now in Thailand, and we'll find out how he's enjoying his time between now and 2 o'clock. News on the way next after George Michael, ironically, and this is Faith. So we've actually managed to turn it around from going from George Michael to Travis, which is sort of credible, I think, as we bring Nick back to the studio.
It's debatable.
I've got Kasabian and the Cranberries. Which one later on?
Either.
Okay, we're happy with that, because he wasn't happy because we've got Jodie in the studio, and Jodie wanted to have Britney Spears on next, and I thought we can't have that, and no.
Yeah. You're lucky I'm still here.
If I play Britney Spears, you'll be lucky if I'm still here as well. 25 to 2, Phuket's Live 89.5. In the studio, Nick G, who's a musician. He's on tour with Placebo, amongst all the other things. His background and his life has been brought up that way completely. And just before we talk about the darker days, bringing it through to when you actually woke up and smelt the coffee rather than alcohol, I just want to talk to you about your own family. I mean, with your dad being a drum technician, out with doing stuff with Eric Clapton and the rest of the family as well, have their lives changed? I mean, because you have changed yourself. I mean, have they decided to do their own thing?
No, I mean, it was, you know, my dad, surprisingly, for someone who's been in the business for so long, it's you know, he's never smoked.
Really?
No, yeah. I mean, I remember him coming to see gigs when I was younger, and he'd walk in and buy like half a shandy, but you know, he'd still have it by the time the gig was finished and the pub was empty and he was leaving. You know, so drinking was never a thing for him at all. And you know, and my other brothers that were in the business, because I've got 4 brothers altogether. 3 of them are musicians, and the other one, Christ knows what happened. But but you know, none of them. It was never an issue, sort of thing.
So did your dad give you a hard time then?
No, not at all. No, I mean, you know, he's always been one to let us go off and do what we do, kind of thing. And you know, he's always sort of instilled in us very strong morals and, you know, values, kind of thing. You know, he was great for all that. But you know, I mean, I was also very good at hiding how I behaved from my dad. You know, I've got my language isn't the best, really, and I have to be very careful not to swear while I'm talking to you. But with him, I never swear in front of him. It's all very much he's my dad.
Okay, I'm your dad.
Yeah,
just keep that in your mind while you're on the radio.
Absolutely.
Right?
I know. Yeah, no. You get a cuff around the ear if you even say whatever in front of him. So they didn't see any of that, and I certainly didn't get any of that from him at all.
So you've actually been in Thailand for quite a while, but I mean, you're looking good, man. I mean, you say you're 31, you feel like you're 41.
30.
Oh, sorry, 30. Sorry, 30. I don't touch you that age. You've got.
Oh, yeah. You want to finish this interview now? Or?
He's just big ladders are Nick in here, I tell you. But I mean, you're looking good from that point of view. But when did you actually sort of see the light? When did you sort of think, you know what, this is going wrong? I don't need to do this anymore.
There's, it comes in waves, kind of thing. Because the first time I sort of decided to try and start getting a bit fit and put all that stuff on the back burner was like when I first started touring with Hayden.
Hayden is the RPM general manager, and he's in the studio, by the way.
Hello.
Yeah, I mean Hayden has toured with Placebo through the years. As assistant tour manager, and also what do you call yourself?
Performance coach.
Performance coach. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. He's just there to do my laundry. But I'm joking. but I mean, and I never really had that opportunity to work with someone in that way, and and to learn really about the health side of things and working out and that sort of thing. I just thought you go into the gym, you lift as much weight as you possibly could, and then you head down the pub. And apparently that was going to turn me into an Adonis. Turns out it didn't work. but so then I just through talking to him, and it was because I always just saw the gym and the way you eat as a way of losing weight and a way of trying to look good, and didn't realise the effects that it has on your mind and and your well-being, and and to help with your moods, and and I'll admit, when he first started telling me all this, I thought it was nonsense. I was like, so you're telling me I'm feeling a bit down, but it's because of what I've been eating? And I'm like, who is this geezer? So, but and after talking to him some more, it turns out a lot of it was true. So, but then I went with it for quite a while, but then we came off tour for the last 2 years or something, and then the devil makes work devil makes work for idle hands, and you find yourself back in the pub waiting for the next tour, and things get dark.
So from that point of view, then you look at someone like Hayden and you say to him, you're the guy that we need in our lives, and the music industry as well. It's changed a little bit. You've been around music industry for a long time. Your family has as well, and you probably hear your dad said, I used to tour with him, and he's no longer here at the age of 52, etc. So that goes into your brain as well.
There's a lot of greats that are no longer with us.
Exactly, and also from a point of view, you're still young enough to sort of realise to go down that road. Now, with the band Placebo, again, they are sort of looking strong and fit, etc., due to sort of help from Hayden. How do you see it going forward for you from here? You've been in Thailand now for about, did you say
4 months now?
4 months now.
Yeah, and I've been here in Phuket working with Hayden for the last sort of month or 3 weeks or something.
So the environment really helped you, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, in order to try and, because the way I'm seeing it is, it's these are kind of and the way I think you have to view it is, this isn't I'm not on a diet, and I'm not on a it's this health fix. It's a kind of, you have to sort of change the way you go about things, and it's sort of I'm going to start sounding like him, which really but they are sort of life changes. It's about adjusting the way you do things.
Do you think the environment of Thailand though makes
well, that's
a big
it.
difference?
I've had to bring myself out of everything, because I'm 30 years old, and I've been smoking. Well, I've stopped now, trying to anyway, a month so far, but I've been smoking. I first started smoking when I was 11.
Really?
So at the age of 30, and I'll be 31 in a couple of months, I've been smoking nearly 20 years, which is just that's disgusting. So so I'm trying to make some change, and it's not about so if you say you're dieting, it's instantly you want cake, or or in my case I want a beer, and then what do you do when you stop dieting? Is that it then? Is that right? Okay, I've lost so many pounds, let's get back on it. And you have to sort of make changes that stick, and it's just slightly adjusting. It's I'd no longer do that, or I opt for this.
But at the ages you are, 30/31, you're old enough to know and try and work things out for yourself. I mean, Hayden's not going to be around you. I mean, I know that he's only a call away, etc. So do you have your own action plan, how to do things? So, for instance, when you leave Thailand, you'll go back to the UK.
Yeah.
The weather will be a little bit colder than what it is here,
God.
right? A lot of so a lot of things will be are different than what they are here. Let's put it that way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, so how do you motivate yourself when he's not around?
Just in the fact that I'm feeling happy and want to continue to feel, happy. It's a lot of the drinking and and all the other elements that I get up to. That a lot of it is escapism, and it's something, and that's something else that I've heard of people say in the past, watching a bit of VH1 behind the music or something, and you got all these people going, "Hey man, I was just trying to lose myself and just get away from things," and again I'm thinking, what? But it's true, and the lower you get, the more you're going to drink, because everything's a party. But you don't realise, look at old photos of myself at parties or at gigs, and just this big round bloated mess, sweating, smelling and getting on everyone's nerves. But but at least you're not dealing with the fact that you want to sling yourself off a building or whatever. It's.
So have you been to Thailand before you actually came here 5 months
only
ago?
once. Only once, and for like 2 days. We played a gig here a few years ago in Bangkok, and then that was it. But no, I mean, other than that, no. I just came here to do that bit of work and sort of fell in love with the place. Really, I know everyone that comes here, they're like, I just didn't want to leave, and I tour everywhere. I go everywhere, and there's a lot of great places, but this is, one of my favourites that I've ever come across.
Well, interesting to say that, because I'll just bring you back to when you actually do tour those places. Sometimes you couldn't even remember, could you?
No. I mean, it's people will be, we're going back to so-and-so. And I'm like, I've never been there before. And then people show me photos of me playing gigs there, or, there was on last tour, someone asked me, do you remember the bull ring that we played in? And I was like, we played in a bull ring? That's amazing. It's like, when did we do that? And it's like, last week. And and it is frustrating when we're all sat around, we might be on our tour bus or something, everyone sat around throwing stories around, or people sit down, people are like, so tell me what it's like, what do you do? And I'm like, no idea. And if it's anything past, say, yesterday, then I struggle. I've got no clue.
Well, you're looking good on it now. We're going to get a full term report very shortly from Hayden on how you're doing. Okay. And we've had Nick in the studio talking about his trials and tribulations of his life, including being on Family Fortunes, which is a story for another day, the family itself.
That's what made him.
Yeah, that's what.
I was I didn't really help too much.
So I'm going to have a little chat now with Hayden, and we'll start with Nick first, and we'll talk about you and what you've actually done to help Nick, and how is that sort of. Where'd you start on something like this? On a subject like Nick?
That's a deep question. How many hours have we got? How many days? No, you know what? I think it comes down to artists or people approaching me and dialing in with what I'm all about. It's also when people get to a point themselves and realise they want to help themselves and they're not quite sure what to do. So then they will approach me with questions, or they will reach out and say, you know what, can I come down the gym with you? For example, when we were touring, when I first met Nick a couple of years ago, he had a different way of living, a completely different outlook on living. So just firstly being around me, of course he would question, well, how does that guy live? How does that guy think? And then if some of it rubbed off on him and he thought, you know what, I might try that out. The next thing I'll know, I'll be like, you know what, can I come down the gym with you? Can I, can we meet and just have a chat over breakfast? Or can we, just go out and, have dinner and maybe, have some wine and whatever. And these sorts of conversations then lead to people to make up their own decisions about, I guess, what I practice and what I preach. And often they will jump on board themselves. I think that's more powerful.
So Nick's been with you for quite a while. Will you be sad to see him go?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're always in contact. He's
that's not what we asked. Will you be sad to see me?
Okay.
You've been a great influence on Nick, and I'm playing it down a little bit here because, I mean, obviously, from your point of view, you see this guy not only as a person to work with, but you see him as a friend, and I think that's very important as well. And you have targets yourself to help these kind of people. And we talked about this before. If people don't want to help themselves, you just say bye, don't you?
Yeah, I'm very much of the opinion that my energy gets drained incredibly if I become mum or dad or teacher. So, people that want to help themselves, I'm definitely keen to help them. And in our case, and with all of the bands and the people that I've worked with in the past, I often create, good friendships, and it just makes it a lot easier. And, Nick wanted to come down. He had a bit of a rough time up in Bangkok, and he just realised, you know what, I want to come down. I said, yeah, come on down. He actually went away. He did a meditation retreat, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And then he's been hanging out. We've been doing all sorts of things regarding detoxing, cleansing, a little bit of mind work, exercise, and hopefully getting him ready to go back on tour and maintain these changes that he's making, while he's been here in Thailand.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Nick, for coming in to speak to us today and sharing your experiences with us. I really appreciate that. And I know that you're very grateful to Hayden, sort of, for the help, etc. It's all right. He hasn't been on Family Fortunes, don't we? No. What we're going to do, what I'm going to try and say to you is that if you can keep us up to date on how you're getting on, mate, because we like to know as well. I mean, I think it's good, and if you're ever back in this part of the world as well.
Yeah, I think that's likely.
Yeah, very much likely. A week after being back in the UK.
Yeah.
I know you've got a lot of things lined up, and you're a musician as well. Just what kind of music do you personally like?
It changes on a day-to-day basis. I wake up one day and I decide I want to be the Prodigy, and and then next day it could be, I don't know, some old bearded folk singer or something.
Richard Thompson or something.
It really depends. I mean, it always sort of lingers around what I grew up on. We'll always want to be Jimmy Page. That's never going to change.
Okay.
Although a bit too heavy for that.
Now, Jodie's in here. Jodie actually is a star on the radio these days as part of Phuket News Radio and writes for the Phuket News, which is out every week, 20 baht on a Friday. So he's got a question to ask him. Come on in.
Just a quick question. I was just wondering whether your taste in music had changed of late, and whether you think that obviously rock and roll lent itself to that kind of lifestyle, and whether it had a negative influence.
Well, actually, he's not going to be into Britney Spears like you, Jodie.
Hey,
no. I mean, yes, I've made a lot of changes, and but I mean, I'm not going to start. I'm not going to start writing music with harps or anything in it or anything like that. Very little's changing. In that respect, my music is still, the stuff that I love. It's I'm not going to start downloading Britney or Christina Aguilera or anything.
Do you
any
enjoy?
More than I already do.
Do you enjoy being on tour more now than what you did before?
No, I've always. I mean,
with a different kind of outlook on things.
Yes, I'd imagine so. I mean, yeah, it's because, I'm actually seeing stuff rather than just, a dark hotel room and a stage each night and a show you don't remember. Since meeting Hayden and being healthier of body and mind, man, things are better. I can't believe that I've been to so many cities. I mean, all over the world, and a lot of them I'd never seen before. And there's there's a lot to offer. Some very beautiful women around the planet, and I've been hiding away on my own. So that about.
And we'll leave it on that high note then. Thank you very much indeed, Nick, for coming in to speak to us. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the year and your 31st birthday, which is up in a couple of months.